You're listening to the Animation Portfolio Workshop podcast series. In this segment, Gerard Sternik speaks with Jim Zubkavich, the program coordinator for Seneca's Animation Arts Center at York University in Toronto. Part 4.
Why don't you give some pointers?
Okay.
You're talking to people are listening to this who are thinking of you.
Right.
They're thinking, what do I have to do to really get into this school? Why don't you give us some portfolio pointers?
Well, here's the real core key to this whole thing, right? So I talked about, figure drawing and perspective drawing, and those two things we always refer back to. So is your figure drawing actually drawn from real life, Okay. Does it have if you're talking about gesture drawings, short poses, does it have a sense of, flow to it? Is there a good sense of, body position and general proportion to it? Is there a little bit of energy going behind
that? So don't draw from pick photograph.
Right, right. And I see tons and tons of that where someone will be drawing their favorite football star from a Sports Illustrated cover or something like that, and it just becomes a bad photocopy of a photocopy. It's stiff and it's lifeless and it's dead, and everything looks, like cardboard cut out. And so the reality is, if you've got the figure in front of you, and it doesn't even have to be a nude.
Right.
Classically it's a nude, and you're drawing on newsprint or whatever with Conte or charcoal, but if you don't have access to those things, you're still not, you're not defeated by any means. So,
that's actually very heartening, Jim, because I think there are people who don't have a model.
Well, and it's true, right? But so even if you have, a friend or a family member just sitting in a chair, not naked, if it's your family members, that would be wrong.
No comment.
But if they're just sitting in a chair and you're drawing them as accurately as you can, and you're trying to bring those qualities to bear, then that will show through, right?
Yes. In other words, make sure you're drawing a person.
You got it.
And make sure that they're in front of you.
Make sure you're drawing it live. Absolutely.
Okay, so this is all right.
And understand the fact that we know that one figure drawing is not going to show your best work. Yeah. You're going to do a ton of them, and then you're going to pick your best. I think people have this weird idea like every single drawing they do has got to be perfect, otherwise they're not good enough.
Right.
And the reality is, if I do a figure drawing session, after the night is over and I've got 30, 40 drawings, because you're doing quick poses, you're doing long poses, I'll throw out the vast majority of them, and I'll keep just a handful that I think worked out really well. And hopefully, the muscle memory and the buildup of the skill is the important part, not necessarily every single drawing is going to be perfect.
I'm hearing you. So the process is definitely...
Exactly. So don't give us, don't give us something where you can see problems with it. Do 20, 30, 40, as many life drawings as you can, and then just pick your best. Pick your best ones.
How many, now I know you've got two hands in there. How many figures are you? You guys were asking for 7 at one point.
We're just looking for 2 now.
Now, why is that, Jim? Can you explain what the switchover was? Or?
Well, the reality was, I think the problem is that we wanted to keep it really simple. So we wanted to have the final outlay is now 10 drawings. So 2 figure drawings, 2 hand drawings, 2 object drawings, 2 room drawings, and then 2 of your choice.
Right.
And so it's a nice, simple number. It's not as intimidating in terms of what's there. And the reality is we can tell from the first couple flips of the portfolio. I mean, we do look through the whole thing, and we do analyze the whole thing, and we do compare them. But as soon as you see someone's figure drawings, as soon as you see one perspective drawing, you know if they have an understanding of the core basics.
Yeah, no, you've got that one right.
And so having them hand in 7 or 9 or 10 or 12, it's not going to change what you can see in 2 or 3 or 4 when it comes to the hand drawings and the figure drawings put together.
It's a valid point. In terms of the drawing for animation stuff, Jim, have you got any pointers for them? No rulers for the perspective drawing?
No, well, I mean, I prefer no rulers. I want to see the theory there. Yeah. So if they're using a ruler, it doesn't immediately disqualify them or anything. Yeah. But it's nicer to see if they've got a confident sense of line without it.
And the object drawings, is there anything you're looking for there?
Draw through the object. Make sure you're building it off of geometric solids. Pick objects that have a sense of structure. Yeah. Sometimes people will put these really soft, mushy kind of objects, or they'll put plants or something that's really hard to define that structure.
Yeah.
And it's very hard to tell that they understand, whether or not they understand the theories in play.
And you're looking, Jim, I'm assuming also the basic shapes, the cylinder, sphere, conical, cubic.
It's great to see the construction behind the drawing. So if you've got it
and
lightly...
again, see, this is the thing. Again, it's like the process part of the life drawing. We're always trying to encourage our students to draw, and to show it. Lay bare your thinking, because the people who are looking at this want to see what you're thinking.
I think the mistake that a lot of people have is they see finished commercial artwork, and they realize that it's very beautiful and it's very refined, and they want their work to look that way, and that's very admirable, but the reality is you're going to school to learn this stuff. And first of all, I think it's quite beautiful to see someone's process anyways, but above and beyond that, this is part of how you're going to show us that you understand what's going on underneath the hood. And so don't worry about finicky little details or tons of shading or ridiculous amounts of texture. I want to see the core structure, and the more you're slopping on the other stuff over top, the harder it is for me to tell whether or not you actually understand the basics.
So keep it all clear. Keep it all on the table.
And the reason why we put those 2 additional drawings in there is because that's where you can show us. You do oil painting, or you do sculpture, or you do crazy other stuff that you want to show us your creativity. Great. Put it in those 2. Give us a sense of who you are as a person. That's what they're there for.
Thank you for listening. To see successful examples of animation portfolios drawn by our students, visit animationportfolioworkshop.com.